because of this attitude of a few Muslims, instead of the situation of improving the reaction of non-Muslims, the reaction of non-Muslims is getting worse by the day. A primary example of this erroneous reaction is the attack on the character of the Holy Prophet of Islam, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, and on the Holy Quran, the sacred book of the Muslims. In this regard, the attitude of British politicians, whatever their party, and of intellectual in Britain has not been the same as that shown by the politicians of some other countries. And I thank you for that. What can be the benefit of hurting such sensitivities apart from increasing hatred and dislike? This hatred spurs certain extremist Muslims into committing un-Islamic deeds, which in turn provides further opportunity to a number of non-Muslims to air their opposition. However, those who are not extremists and who deeply love the Holy Prophet of Islam, peace and blessing be on him, are terribly hurt by these attacks. And in this, the Ahmadiyya Jamaat or the community is at the forefront. Our single most important task is to show the world the perfect character of the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, and the beautiful teachings of Islam. We who respect and revere all the prophets, peace be upon them all, and believe all of them to be the messengers sent by God, cannot say anything disrespectful against any of them. But we are very saddened when we hear baseless, untrue allegations against our Prophet. Nowadays, when the world again getting divided into blocks, extremism is escalating and the financial and economic situation is worsening. There is an urgent need to end all kinds of hatred and to lay the foundations of peace. This can only be done by representing all kinds of sentiments, by respecting all kinds of sentiments of each other. If this is not done properly, honestly, and with virtue, it will escalate into uncontrollable circumstances. I appreciate that economically sound Western countries have generously permitted the people of poor or underdeveloped nations to settle in their respective countries, among whom are Muslims as well. True justice requires that the sentiments and religious practices of these people should also be honored. This is the way by which the peace of mind of people can be kept intact. We should remember that when the peace of mind of a person is disturbed, then the peace of mind of the society is also affected. As I said earlier, I am grateful to the British legislators and politicians for fulfilling the requirements of justice and for not interfering in this way. This, in fact, is the teaching of Islam that is given to us by the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran declares that there should be no compulsion in religion. This commandment not only counters the accusation that Islam was spread by the sword, but also tells Muslims that acceptance of faith is a matter between man and his God, and you should not interfere in that in any way. Everyone is permitted to live according to his faith and to perform his religious rituals. However, if there are any practices done in the name of religion that harm others and go against the law of the land, then the law enforcers of that state can come into action, because if there is any cruel ritual being practiced in any religion, it cannot be the teaching of any prophet of God. This is the fundamental principle for establishing peace at the local level as well as the international level. Moreover, Islam teaches us that if, as a result of your change of faith, any society or group or a government tries to interfere in the observance of your religious practice, and thereafter the circumstances change in your favor, then always remember that you must carry no malice or ill will. You should not think of taking revenge, but should rather establish justice and equity. The Holy Quran says, O ye who believe, be steadfast in the cause of Allah, bearing witness in equity, and let not people's enmity incite you to act otherwise than with justice. Be always just, that is nearer to righteousness, and fear Allah. Surely Allah is aware of what you do. This is the teaching for peace in society. Never depart from justice, even for your enemy. The early history of Islam shows us that this teaching was followed and all the demands of justice were fulfilled. I cannot give too many examples of this, but history bears testimony to the fact that after the victory of Makkah, the Holy Prophet, peace and blessing of Allah be upon him, did not take any revenge from those who had tormented him, but forgave them and allowed them to adhere to their respective faiths. Today, peace can be established only if all requirements of justice are met for the enemy, not only in wars against religious extremists, but also in all other wars, and only such peace is long-lasting. In the last century, 2 world wars were fought. Whatever the causes were, if we look deeply, only one cause stands out, and it is that justice was not properly administered in the first instance. As a reaction, what was considered to be an extinguished fire turned out to be cinders that kept on burning slowly, eventually bursting into flames and enveloping the whole world as a second time. Today, restlessness is increasing, and wars and actions to maintain peace are becoming the forerunners for another world war. Moreover, the present economic and social problems will be a source of aggravating the situation. The Holy Quran has given some golden principles for establishing peace in the world. It is an established fact that greed causes enmity to grow. Sometimes it manifests itself in territorial expansion or the seizing of the natural resources, or indeed in impressing the superiority of some upon others. This leads to cruelty, whether it is at the hands of merciless despots who usurp the right of people and prove their supremacy in pursuit of their vested interests, or it is at the hands of an invading force. Sometimes the cries and anguish of the cruelly treated people call out to the outside world. But be that as it may, we have been taught the following golden principle by the Holy Prophet of Islam, which is, help both the afflicted and the cruel. The companions of the Prophet inquired that whereas they could understand helping the afflicted, how could they help a cruel person? The Prophet responded by saying, by stopping his hand from committing cruelty, because his excess in cruelty will make him worthy of God's punishment. So out of mercy, you try to save him. This principle extends beyond the smallest fibers of society to the international level. In this connection, the Holy Quran says, and if two parties of believers fight against each other, make peace between them. Then if after that one of them transgress against the other, fight the party that transgresses until it returns to the command of Allah. Then if it returns, make peace between them with equity and act justly. Verily Allah loves the just. Though this teaching is about Muslims, yet by adhering to this principle, the foundation of peace on a worldwide basis can be laid. In order to maintain peace, it has been explained